All right, here we go.
Got it.
Yeah, we straight chillin', serial killing, pre-cool villains on the mic, got you reeling. 5-star rated from the floor to the ceiling. If you catch a 1-star, no time for feelings. Got a demon DJ on the ones and twos, by the name Beelzebub, so don't get confused. So grab a seat by the fire, roast them all over two, and prepare to hear the legend of the straight chillin' crew.
What up, nerds, and welcome to another codependent episode of Straight Chilling, the weekly horror movie review show where you chill and we kill, slice, dice, and chop up yet another horror movie. My name is Bob. I'll be your host for the evening. This is episode 419, recorded Monday, April 17th, 2023. Tonight, we're talking about that new Nick Cage hotness, Renfield. Before we get into it, let me introduce everyone else on the show. First up, calling in from Washington, D.C., we got your boy, Randeezy. What's up?
What's going on, children?
How's it going, bud? You ready to talk about some ska music? Pick it up.
You know I am. Dude, the ska jokes killing me. Pick it up.
They are funny jokes that have no basis in reality, as we all know.
We all know that everybody loves ska. Everybody. We know it. See? Everybody loves that. How could you not?
Everybody loves exactly that.
Last but not least, calling in from South Korea, we got your boy Soju. What's up, man?
Oh, what up? It's your boy Skank Stains. Let's get our skank on, boys.
Hell yeah, man.
Yes.
That's what I'm hearing. That's what I'm hearing.
Hit me with that bump one more time, Randy.
Oh, we can do it.
There we go. All right.
Ooh, yeah. It feels right.
That's how you
Bring
teach
in the-
awkward middle school white kids how to dance.
Yeah.
Is by telling them what
How to-
skanking is.
Just kind of kick their feet a little bit rhythmically.
Yeah. Act like you're marching real weird, and then
You're
move your
killing
arms
it.
like you're running real weird.
Run in place, white boy.
You
That's
guys
a day.
you guys have reached the awkward middle-aged man stage where you're trying to convince people their old music is cool.
I feel like
Ska
we were
music is cool.
always
Ska music's
doing
back,
that.
and nobody seems to want to acknowledge the truth in that. But
It's back
we'll get into
again.
it.
Randy,
It's back.
I wanna ask you. You're plugged in to the DIY ska punk / punk scene, and is this still the fourth wave, or are we on the fifth wave of ska now? What wave are we on?
There's no consensus over wave counts anymore. After the third wave, people stopped counting for a while, and then other people started counting it, and it doesn't
Oh,
matter.
man.
Ska punk's back, baby. It's happening. It's happening for real. And ska in general, rocksteady, all that shit. People are ready for that shit for an anti-racist fucking
Yes.
thing that came out of the Caribbean, right? I'm
Yeah, it
blanking.
did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's some good ass shit, man. The classics. Every wave has been great. Every wave. I'm pretty psyched about this. What's going on in DIY ska punk right now, though?
Would
Give
you
me
call
some
it,
Jer.
would you call it a
Right.
wave or like a slight rocking, a slight
It's a
turn?
tsunami, is what it is.
I'd call it a torrential downpour with easterly winds.
Okay.
Mhm.
Y'all
Yeah,
are
it's
about to
good
pick
shit.
it up, whether you know it or not. You're picking it up. Sell
Well, check that off the
Yeah.
list.
out. Have done it. Oh shit. More ska talk coming. But before
After
that,
these
let's-
ads.
after these real big fish ads, pick up their new record. Let's
Don't touch
tackle.
that dial. You need to hear this.
You need to hear this. We got some housekeeping. Let's take care of that shit real quick. Here's another reminder. We have our May poll currently posted over on our Patreon website. If you support us at the $5 level or above, you get the chance to vote on a movie we're talking about this May. Juiced, it's your takeover month. What's happening?
I'm taking over and we're going hunting. We're some hunting men right now. And
Not cooter hunting,
Okay.
of course.
well,
We're big,
not
strapping hunting men. Ooh.
Hunting people.
That sounded so very homoerotic, and I'm here for it.
Me
Sign up
too.
and vote.
We're not cooter hunting this month. Well, we technically are, but we have a side hunt.
We're hunting for
going on.
dick.
Jesus Christ.
That's a great bump. That's a great.
Skip to the end.
Well, we are hunting for you choose. You get to choose the things we are hunting. You can either choose werewolves with Underworld, you can choose trolls with Troll Hunter, or you can choose dragons with Rain of Fire. Bob, how are those numbers looking?
Dude, we got another tie on our hands.
Oh man, it's been
Oh my
tight.
God.
I
Back
know.
and forth, back and forth.
2 months in a row, tight races. So we got a tie between Underworld and Troll Hunter, and nobody knows what the fuck Rain of Fire is.
Rain of Fire is
Rain
not.
of what? I wouldn't.
Yeah.
What? Who?
Yeah. So, all right. Well, a tight race. Yeah, it keeps going back and forth, but that's good. Both good films. Both good films.
Yeah, you got a couple weeks left. Make sure you get your votes in before the end of April, and we'll see what movie we're talking about this May. In other Patreon news, we're dropping mini casts left and right. Last Friday, we dropped a mini cast that is a recording of the Q&A that happened after the world premiere of Renfield. Nick Cage was in attendance, as well as Chris McKay, the director, and also the screenwriter was there. So check that out.
Ryan Ridley.
Ryan Ridley.
Speak his name.
I know you're the Ridley guy. I don't know. That name was new to me, but you know him for sure.
And how relevant to today's show. Wow.
I know. We got another mini cast dropping on April 28th. That's the next one. And Juice, ya boy, was talking about the HBO miniseries Chernobyl, which is just a light, fun little romp for everybody.
Oh yeah, a bit of a horror comedy, if you will, based in true events, but
Comedy of errors.
Whoa.
No, it's
You
really
can't
good.
piss
It's
on
very
hospitality. I won't allow it.
I won't allow it.
fucked up. I won't.
yeah, that legit. I rewatched it. I'm going through some classic horror TV. I had to text Bob. I was like, "Have we covered this?" He was like, "No." It's like, what a shame. So I hopped on it and rewatched it again. It was probably like my third or fourth time watching it. Legit, like the scariest shit I've seen. I think that pretty much encapsulated Randy's takeover month last year, which was what was that movie called?
Yeah.
Randy?
Threads.
Threads, yeah. That's pretty
Definitely
much
are in
what
the same
Chernobyl
space.
did for me. Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
it's fucking scary. So fantastic series. So we needed to definitely represent that one before all 100 mini episodes rolls around. So got it knocked out.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Nailed it. Check out all those bonus episodes over on Patreon. That's all we got for Patreon. Juice, you got some YouTube stuff going on. What's happening?
Oh yes. So this is our last.
God, yes, come with me.
Thank you, Randy. This is our
Come
last
with me.
live cast for a while because y'all are going to be traveling and we're going to be going all kind of places. So let me go ahead and list out what's going to be coming up. Bob, we just dropped your newest Tiki video today as we're recording. So as when you're listening to this, I guess Monday. So this is for an upcoming release that's coming out this Friday. Bob, what was that all about?
Yeah. So Evil Dead Rise is dropping this weekend, and I wanted to make an Evil Dead cocktail in honor of that. So we dropped a YouTube video for a drink I made called the Tiki Fuck, which is a riff on the Pink Fuck, which is the cocktail that is featured in Ash vs. Evil Dead, the show.
Sure it is, Bob.
And
Sure.
Sure. So yeah, I did a tiki riff of the recipe that they just flat out show you in the TV show. I think it tastes a little better personally, and it is certainly an extremely strong drink. It's probably the strongest cocktail that I've come up with so far. So drinkers beware.
Great,
Okay, that
great
was
new
cool.
bump, Randy. Great new bump.
Yeah,
Thanks,
was-
man.
Uh,
That's the sound of me purchasing an upgrade to this program that I play bumps on.
Fantastic.
Good. All right. So yeah, check that out and get wasted, white girl wasted for the upcoming Evil Dead Rise movie coming out this weekend.
Oh,
Also too, so by next Monday, before the next episode drops, we are going to have this month's Creature Comforts episode. This is a Straight Chillin' spin-off series exclusive on YouTube, where I cover horror adjacent films. And this time I was talking about The Butterfly Effect with Caitlin from Plug It Up. So Caitlin,
Plug it up. Plug it up.
plug it up,
Plug,
plug it up,
plug,
plug it,
plug,
it,
plug,
plug it up.
plug it up.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
we're in sync. We know.
Oh yeah,
We
oh
know
yeah.
how this
Plug it up.
works.
So Kaylin is fantastic. I can't wait to start my own permanent podcast with her because we just have, that chemistry.
Oh,
bubbling
yeah, me
the whole
too. We're
time.
all going to start our own side cast with Caitlin. She has
What
the
the
time, I'm sure.
But no, she was great. I really enjoyed talking with her. And if you don't know, check out her podcast, Plug It Up. She does a fantastic job covering the monstrous motherhood, all kind of things.
Monstrous
Nailed it.
lady.
So
Plug
and
it up.
then I believe after that May 1st, there will also be a new video game review coming out, but I'm gonna keep that secret for now. Just
Whoa.
get that finished before you guys show up.
Oh my
Good luck.
God.
Yeah,
You can do it.
I can do it. I think so.
Nice. Randy, you got anything going on?
Not at this moment. No, I'm slacking like crazy. I guess.
What do you got going on, Randy? Nothing
I got done-
important, I don't think.
Yeah, nothing as important as talking this bullshit for hours at a time. That's for sure.
I hear that. I hear that.
Yeah, no, nothing. But there is some stuff on the horizon. I just don't want to reveal it just yet.
All right.
Sounds like our houses are clean.
It sure does. And now there's a bump corresponding to that, which will play currently.
Tight.
Randy scrubbing back to get that sweet Bob bump at the beginning of the episode.
Scrubbing on back.
Look,
All right. Let's get
Scrub
into
it, Randy.
the main event tonight.
Scrubbing it.
We're talking Renfield, and we're kicking it off with the back of the box.
What's on the back of the box?
Bob, do you have this box pre-ordered?
Shockingly, no, but it's a matter of
Bob.
time.
Oh
It's a
God.
matter of time.
Bob, did you purchase one of the Renfield NFTs?
I hope those don't exist, but
They
I'm sure they
fucking
do.
I get
I'm
fucking
sure.
mail about
Oh,
it, and
God.
it upsets me.
One of them is Nick Cage's nutsack, so
just his physical nut.
Yeah, he doesn't
He'll
just
mail
he
it
doesn't
to
just swing ball. He doesn't just swing sack for anybody. Okay, you got to purchase that shit non-fungible.
uh-huh.
I want. Never mind. We'll just get into it.
I decided that I'm lonely.
That's what I've decided. We're talking Renfield, brand new release, 2023, rated R with a runtime of 1 hour and 33 minutes. This was directed by Chris McKay, written by, of course, Ryan Ridley, based on a story idea from your boy Robert
Attaboy.
Kirkman. Stars Nicholas Hoult, Nick Cage, Aquafina. Ben Schwartz is also in this, a whole bunch of other folks. Plot synopsis brought to you by IMDb is as follows. Renfield, Dracula's henchman and inmate at the lunatic asylum for decades, longs for a life away from the Count, his various demands, and all of the bloodshed that comes with him. Gentlemen, brand new movie. Of course, we hadn't seen it before. Would you recommend people check this out? Juicy J, why don't you kick us off?
You know what I think this movie's kind of perfect for is we've had this come up a lot in like emails and voicemails and stuff like that, is if you're a horror fan and you have a partner or even like a friend, you're kind of trying to get into horror and they're not really about it, but like they're maybe a little open to it. I think this is probably a good movie. Like you could go enjoy with like a friend or partner that doesn't typically enjoy horror, and they probably will dig on this because it's got flavors of like a lot more accessible genres, like, you know, like a buddy cop movie or, you know, an action movie or something like that, you know, like a Marvel type of film. And while still having like the horror vibes of Dracula and that kind of stuff. So I think this movie is good for that kind of setting. It's not like hardcore horror. It's got a little bit of comedy in it, got a little bit of action in it. It's kind of got a little bit of everything. So I think it's a pretty accessible type of horror film. So yeah, that's what I would recommend it for.
Right on. Ray and DZ, what about you?
I couldn't agree more. Actually, I think that that's spot on. This movie is. I would even like. I don't think you can really call it one genre. It's very much like I know that we struggle like to really genre label things because there's always the argument about whether like, you can always go back and forth forever. But this one, you really could go back and forth forever. And to me, I don't see it much as a horror movie. But I see it like to my mind, it has the cadence of like a Deadpool movie or something like that. It's more like action comedy to me than it is anything else. It's just got some horror nostalgia to it and a little bit of horror gore as well. I would definitely recommend it. I think that if you are, you know, I think even people who aren't gore fiends or anything, like people who don't handle that stuff well, I think they'll mostly have a good time with this movie. The barrier for entry is very low. I do recommend it.
Would you recommend people check out Renfield?
I absolutely would. Similar to what you guys are saying, this is definitely a blend, a genre blend. It's got your action, your comedy, your horror. It's got a little bit of everything for sure. I think I mentioned this before, but after watching the trailer, I wasn't super excited for the movie. And then after watching it, I was pleasantly surprised. And I think that trailer may be kind of shooting itself in the foot a little bit. I know after this opening weekend, the movie grossed 10 million worldwide. And it was reportedly had a budget of 65 million. So that's pretty fucking bad. Nobody went out to see this movie, and I wonder if it's because of that trailer. It didn't hit me right at all, but it definitely has. I think this has something for everybody, though, so it could be a crowd pleaser if you're willing to roll the dice and go check it out.
Yeah, that's so strange because I mean, that trailer, I think we all were kind of like mid on the whole thing. It really is maybe it's a difficult movie to capture that way because it doesn't seem like they misrepresented it really. It's just
I agree.
Yeah. I don't know how they should have like cut it differently, but yeah,
I don't have a good suggestion. It's just I don't know.
I think this more. I'm surprised because I feel like this movie should be more accessible than its numbers suggest that like people went to go see it. You know?
Yeah, I think it would have served the movie better if they would have kept the trailer really focused on Nicholas Hoult and kept Nick Cage's Dracula more elusive a little bit. I think because some of it looks goofy, which is intended, but like maybe goofy in a bad way in the trailer, whereas in the context of the movie it really worked. Now we're just kind of reviewing it though. I think
let's talk about the movie.
That's an overall like recommend, I think, from the Straight Chilling crew.
I was like, wait, did Bob do his plot synopsis?
Sorry,
already? Did I have a
sorry, no, getting ahead of myself.
Okay,
skip to the end, Bob.
Overall recommend from the Straight Chilling crew. We're gonna spoil the shit out of this movie, and here comes your warning.
Spoiler warning.
Bob, did you type up a plot synopsis? This is one that you boys watch at Overlook. Were you typing it on your phone, Bob, as you went on?
I was, and nobody cared. I didn't bother anybody with that bright light.
Yeah. I'm surprised Nick Cage didn't throw you out himself.
He handed me a script, actually. He's like, here you go, bud. I signed it.
You look like you got a good cut out of your jib. Tell me what. I want to hear what you have to say for the silver screen. Why don't you put it down on paper for me?
Damn. What if we were in the next Nick Cage movie, boys?
We are.
What?
Oh yeah,
We're all in a
that's
Nick
the
Cage movie. It's
announcement.
called Life.
It's his movie. We're just in it.
That's
Mhm.
right.
Yeah, I got a plot synopsis. I'll blast through this here real quick. In the early 20th century, Transylvanian vampire Dracula meets English lawyer R.M. Renfield and hopes to broker a deal for some land. Renfield ends up becoming Dracula's familiar, in which he does Dracula's bidding in return for a portion of Dracula's power, including eternal life. To maintain these powers, Dracula must drink the blood of humans, and Renfield must eat bugs. In present day, we see Dracula severely injured by some vampire hunters, and the two move to New Orleans to lay low and let Dracula heal. Renfield finds a support group for people in codependent relationships and plans to hunt their partners and bring them to Dracula so he can feed upon their blood. Renfield follows one ska-loving shitty boyfriend to a warehouse who has stolen some drugs from the Lobo crime family. As Renfield confronts them, an assassin shows up to kill and return the drugs to its rightful owner. After the dust settles, Renfield is the sole survivor, and Teddy Lobo sees him emerge from the warehouse, stuffing his guts back into his stomach. Teddy speeds off and is arrested by a local police officer named Rebecca for throwing bricks of cocaine at her. The wealthy Lobo crime family gets him off as the police are in their pocket.
Yeah, they do.
Dracula tells Renfield the blood he's brought is insufficient, and he requires blood from a more pure victim. Renfield goes to a restaurant to find fresh blood, and Rebecca winds up at the same place via clues from a crime scene. Teddy Lobo follows her in there and attempts to murder her for arresting him, but Renfield intervenes, saving her and killing several henchmen. Teddy meets Dracula while hunting down Renfield, and the Lobo family teams up with Dracula. Meanwhile, Renfield has made a new life for himself, embracing what he's learned in his codependent self-help meetings. Renfield has also taken a liking to Rebecca and gives a statement to the police. Dracula kills the entire support group in front of Renfield for his betrayal. Rebecca then finds Renfield surrounded by corpses and tries to arrest him, but several crooked cops arrive and Renfield saves her. The next morning, Renfield explains who he is to her, and the two have to fight through a small army of crooked cops. They then storm the Lobos' headquarters and encounter several gang members, including Teddy, have been made Dracula's familiars. After a huge brawl, Renfield kills Teddy, and Dracula has a final showdown with Renfield and Rebecca in the torture basement. They trap Dracula in a protective circle and dismember him using the various torture devices surrounding them and cement his body in little chunks. Renfield then resurrects his support group using Dracula's blood, and he and Rebecca go on living their happy lives. Roll credits.
All right.
All right. So one
How
thing I
topic.
noticed, and it really started like getting me thinking about it. Also, I think I did see a story posted about this, where I guess Nicholas Hoult recently lost out on some roles in like the Batman and Mission Impossible and stuff. And I've always said like I like Nicholas Hoult. I started watching him in the first season of Skins like a long time ago, and really enjoyed him like in most of the things that he's been in. But I was thinking like that man is like doomed to be the supporting actor always. He's not a leading man. He can't carry a film. And even in this, it's almost like he's got to have kind of Nick Cage in there to kind of have
Nick Hoult?
Yeah, what did I say?
I just like I'm having a hard time believing it.
Oh,
I mean, he
no.
is the leading man in this movie. I mean,
Yeah.
Nick Cage is
Okay,
a
so
massive
what-
supporting actor for
So
sure.
so I was going back and I was like, okay, like what has Nicholas Hoult been in that I really enjoy, you know? And like so like with this film, Mad Max came to my mind. And
Mhm.
again, with Mad Max, you've got like a guy like Tom Hardy who's there to, you know, Nick Hoult does a fantastic job in that. But then the hunky guy, the guy who like takes up the stage or whatever, is Tom Hardy, you know. And I feel like Nick Hoult is always kind of in that space, and I couldn't think of any movie where he is just leading the way and carries all of the weight.
Well, I mean, regardless of that, I think he does a great job in this movie.
I think he always does a great job. It was just an
Yeah.
observation of it feels like he can never like carry the film on his own. Like for instance, if he lost out on the role of Batman to Robert Pattinson, like I could see that. Like I could never see like Nick Hoult being Batman and carrying the weight and the role of being Batman. You know what I'm saying?
That's a tough
I don't know,
one,
man.
yeah.
I think he definitely could. I think he does well enough in this to where I feel like he's got to open that door a little bit, but he has done a lot of like his most stellar work that I've seen, I would agree, is more character work, which is great stuff. I love character work.
No, yeah.
That's like him and he's like one of the standouts of The Menu, which is like a fucking incredible movie that has standouts, just like you're swimming in standouts. It's tough to even call anyone the standout, and I think he stands like he legitimately stands out as probably the most, I don't know, emblematic of that movie to me. So I don't know. I think he's quite good, and he like I think he's only going to get more opportunities because he's still a young dude. He's good looking. He's leading this role here. Like he's in the leading man spot here. I don't see any reason why he couldn't do more. And he was also in Warm Bodies, which I haven't seen. I don't know that it has a very good reputation or not.
It does. I haven't seen it either, but apparently it does have a pretty solid reputation.
Okay.
And he is like he's not the lead of that movie because I think that it's like a romantic comedy like duo situation, but like he's what the movie's named after, for lack of a
for sure.
Yeah, that's the thing. He's always a prominent role, and he does well in those prominent roles, but he's never like the guy, you know. So it's I just found it curious watching this film, and despite his age, he does like look surprisingly young. Like I think he looks younger than his actual age. He like cleans up really well. I think he never has a lot of like facial hair or anything. So I don't know, he just looks particularly young a lot of the time. So yeah, I think he will continue, you know, to get work and do a good job. I'm just curious if he'll ever break out into that space of, you know, like leading a film, carrying it the whole way.
To your point, I mean, I think he does a great job in this movie, but to your point, I think this whole movie is cast really well, and the supporting crew is fantastic. I mean, obviously, Nick Cage's Dracula is good, in my opinion. Ben Schwartz is Ted Lobo, I think, does a great job. And then Awkwafina is the cop. Like, the four of them definitely like carry the majority of the movie. But I think they all
weak
do
on Awkwafina
relatively
myself.
well. Yeah.
Like, I think I talked about this in our Overlook episode. Like,
a little
yeah,
bit.
you did. Yeah.
I think that she like. I don't know. I wonder, and I think I wondered this on the other episode, if it's like a situation where she's being outshone so thoroughly by being the straight man in a sea of people who are being fucking hilarious and ridiculous and over the top. She's kind of stuck in that role because everybody in this movie has a more bombastic character, like from their core, than she does. And I don't think that she's a bad actress. I've enjoyed her in other things, even as a straight man. But she's like, for whatever reason, not quite firing on all cylinders here for me. And it's tough for me to think of a moment with her that I was particularly like, yeah, you know, like, I don't know. Every other character has that moment. You have the fucking Nick Cage's face on Bela Lugosi's body. Fuck yeah, that's awesome. And then you have like Nick Holt just eating the bugs and going to fucking town, or jumping down, like any of the action scenes basically where Nick Holt's going crazy. And Ben Schwartz is just like, every other line is just a fucking laugh riot. Honestly, I think that he's fucking great in this movie.
He is really good. Yeah, she is. Yeah, she's the straight person, and that is just, I think, by default,
it's a little less
be less memorable and less impactful, but necessary as well.
It doesn't have to be though, because like you have people like Steve Martin who make whole careers out of that after a while. So
well,
I don't know.
I think too, honestly, the thing is with her and that character, the problem I think is this movie does have a lot of different flavors, and her brand, or not her, but so her section of this film is the most kind of generic shit in this film, where they're literally dropping lines like, you got to know when to play ball, and I told him I'd look after you. And I was like, are we doing this right? When some of those lines dropped, I was like, oh, looking around like, what? You know, because they're the most paint by numbers, generic, almost. They're the lines that you would use to mock movies now.
Well, it's how it's played straight to me. Like, it's so straight. And I understand that she's a straight man in this, but it's like, there's a little bit too much of that going on with her in a movie.
Generic.
It needs grounding, but I don't think she's grounded enough as an act. Like, I don't think that her performance is very, like, it's not like she's going big, but her personality kind of like outshines. It's tough to describe. Like I guess just what I know about her is, or what I'm seeing from her is like tempering herself and kind of putting her slowest foot forward, kind of trying to do, like, she's trying to do the straight man cop thing, and she's not like authoritative seeming enough to really
Yeah.
accomplish that.
Well, okay, to that
don't
point
think.
too, another aspect I feel like she's supposed to kind of fill to drive this narrative forward is, Renfield like kind of falls for her a little bit. He respects her courage and like he brings flowers to the station, but there doesn't feel like there's any kind of chemistry there or any kind of thing. She doesn't seem to fill or occupy the spaces that she's supposed to fill based on what the character is supposed to be doing. She just kind of exists there.
That doesn't bother me. I don't need more romance out of this movie.
I mean, I'm not asking for it. I'm saying that that's what they're bringing to the table, and I don't feel like that's.
I would agree that the
there
chemistry's
enough
off.
Yeah.
I would agree that the chemistry's off too, and that maybe that's kind of touching on part of why it doesn't land for me. Is
Yeah.
because she seems a little untethered from the rest of this movie. So
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I would love to see her play a straight character in a more like tempered film where she's not like playing against the biggest actors and characters in all of fucking film canon. And maybe she would maybe she would be fucking fabulous. I don't know. She doesn't even get a ton of screen time. This movie's so quick. You don't have a lot of time to really make your presence known. So I don't know. Like I don't want to harp on her too much because it's really not that bad by any means. It's just sort of like
No. Well, on the flip side, let's talk about the biggest motherfucker in the room. How do you guys think Nick Cage did as Dracula?
We are very impressed.
Yeah, I thought he did a great job.
I liked it. Yeah, I liked it. This is another aspect though of where I feel like Nick Holt does a good job. I feel like everybody actually does a good job, but the characters and their spaces they're supposed to occupy don't necessarily completely gel for me. So for the most part, I feel like Nick Cage is kind of playing this straight or not straight, because I don't know. It feels like the movie that Nick Cage is in and the way that he acts it doesn't necessarily fit with the movie that Nick Holt is in and the way he acts that. And the way that Awkwafina is like the movie that she's in and the way she acts that. I feel like they're all in these different kinds of movies. And whereas like Awkwafina is the more like straightforward, we're going to take this generic buddy cop thing like more straightforward and serious, like a Rush Hour. I'm not Rush Hour.
A very serious film like Rush Hour.
I know. Yeah. What's a fucking cop movie? God
What's
damn it.
Lethal Weapon?
Yeah. Okay.
That's the buddy cop movie.
Yeah. So like Lethal Weapon, or and then like Nick Holt is in this like actiony, almost like Marvel type of movie, and then Nick Cage kind of plays it more like kind of B horror movie, I feel like. I don't know. Did y'all feel like disconnection between these genres and like how they're trying to mash up?
I felt that they were definitely mashing up, like they were kind of coming from different angles. And I don't think that anybody but Awkwafina felt out of place ultimately. I felt like they weren't playing like into the same aspects of the kind of character that they are. That you would see, like Renfield wasn't Renfield like you see him in any other Renfield movie. Dracula though was Nick Cage doing Max Schreck and like doing vampire shit from like the golden era, which is why it seems kind of like hokey. That's why it seems like B movie now, because so many years have passed that sort of behavior in a film kind of comes across as a little hokey.
Yeah.
But he's doing it. He's playing it as hard to that as he possibly can. And Renfield, I think, does a good job at helping bridge the gap between the audience and that. Because I think he's basically a modern person who just speaks the way that somebody from the 1800s would, as a way of, I don't know, he's the relatable aspect. So for him to be more relatable to me makes perfect sense. Like the way he relates to Nick Cage, I don't see a disconnect really between those two. I just see them doing different things, and the way those things play off each other seems to work for me. Rob, what do you think?
Yeah, I generally agree that the blend that's happening here doesn't bother me at all. It's not like, if you're going into this expecting it to be like a scary, moody Dracula movie, you'll be disappointed, because there is like a decent amount of action, like buddy cop humor happening. But I feel like the way they sort of merge those two things works really well, specifically because of what Nick Cage is bringing to the table. He's bringing some of that cheese and some of that ham. He's making a sandwich himself, you know. It's like he's riffing on a lot of these Draculas, these versions of Dracula that we've seen before. And then he's also
Peter
sprinkling
Lowe, for
in
example.
Peter, yeah. He's exactly. He's also like sprinkling in some of his cageisms. Like he gives you one of those like, just like one of them, you know. Like he hits that Nick Cage button, that like big red Nick Cage button every once in a while, but like not too much, you know.
Yeah.
And I dig it. I think the blend really kind of worked for me personally.
He was I would say he's my like that feel and like that acting style, like that aspect, I guess is what I'm trying to say, was my favorite aspect of this film. I prefer to see him on screen and like him to be present and acting and delivering lines and stuff like that than I prefer to see anything else. So for me personally, like the highlights were kind of watching Nick Cage be Dracula.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like in a lesser version of this movie, he would be the straight man, and everybody else would be funny around him, and that's like kind of the expected route, which is why I'm so like it actually worked so well to have Nick Cage, somebody who is like almost pathologically not going to do the expected thing ever, and so like having him there at doing like his version of that character makes it no longer a straight man, so they kind of like supplant in Aquafina, and I feel like maybe they pulled some jokes from her or something. And here's another thing is like I don't see the buddy cop movie as much as you guys seem to. I really see this as very much, because of Nick Holt's character, very much more of a superhero movie. Like he's doing everything that happens you do in a superhero movie.
Hey, hey guys, I gotta stop, man. This is fucking terrible. I'm losing audio like every 5 seconds now. Hang on.
Yeah.
Let me save what we got real quick, and I'm gonna try and like restart everything. I've got like fucking 15 edits already.
Oh, okay. See, like take a moment since you got to restart and see if there's an update. Did he leave?
Yeah,
oh no, he's
no. I'm just saving everything real quick. Hang on. It usually does the auto, but I'll check. I'll BRB.
Okay, I'm gonna get some coffee. Some more coffee. Randy, you're gonna be here soon.
I know. I can't even fucking think
up
about it. I have no goddamn time. I have 3 major projects due tomorrow.
Oh,
3.
Randy. Oh no.
Yeah.
I'll wait to let Bob back in. I don't want to like him just be sitting here. Oh, my lord. Well, 2 days time, you'll be flying, watching movies on a plane.
I know it. Are you enjoying this? Are you enjoying this, person watching this on YouTube? Is this
behind
good for
the
you?
scenes?
Is this working for you?
Behind the scenes.
Hey, Kevin, I see what you're doing there. Stop that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Keep
Stop
doing
that. That's filthy.
Head on over to OnlyFans.
There's like I've mentioned the Found Footage Festival, shout out to them before, but they have one of their panelists, one of their co-hosts, he sells his background image like as an advertising spot for every episode, and people like have like happy birthday messages to their friends and shit. It's fucking great.
Dude, I should do that shit.
I thought about it, but I don't want to steal the man's shtick, so
I'll steal him. Well, also too, so far
scruples are for other guys.
Our behind the scenes don't get as many plays. Maybe once we start getting
no. That's true.
Oh well.
That's why it's bottom barrel prices.
That's why only 30 people are gonna see this, and that's why you tune in. This is the special stuff.
Pay me a cent per view.
All the facade is gone. This is the real soju right here. Okay.
Yeah. In a blue room, really. Trust me.
Mm-hmm.
It's an incredible likeness to the Renfield apartment, actually.
That's why I picked it.
I figured.
Yeah.
I have been AI generating all of mine, and this is what came up when I put in Dracula talking to Al Capone at a cafe.
That's not too bad, honestly.
It's just one guy though. Like,
Well,
fucking
yeah,
AI.
yeah.
He's got the corsage that's very Capone.
Hmm.
It definitely looks like Bella with an extra row of teeth.
Yeah,
Doesn't hurt the effect.
yeah, pretty
Anyway.
solid. Good job, AI, per usual.
Good job. Fuck artists. They don't. What do they need?
Can't
Like,
wait
you
till
think
we
an
get
artist
those.
could make this?
Can't wait till we get those AI podcasts.
Those clowns in Congress did it again. What a bunch of clowns.
Ah, how insightful.
Yes. How does it keep up with the news like that?
Looks like the weather's going to be good when you're heading here. I was reading it off to Bob.
Perfect.
We got lows in the like kind of mid to high 40s, and then highs of like low 70s, high 60s. Ooh,
That's
looking
good. That's perfect. I was wondering whether how many jackets, if any, I should bring. I think I'm just going to bring a
Yeah.
light boy.
It might be a little cooler up in the mountains, but it shouldn't be too
That's true.
bad. But I was worried about the air. The air's been really bad recently, but luckily, like it kind of rained a little bit. It's raining enough to not have me worried that it could ruin large portions of the trip, but it's raining enough
Oh, good.
to like keep the air clean.
Well, I'm very pleased that there's only a low level chance of the air ruining your fucking vacation.
Oh no, yeah, I'm sorry that the rain. I meant to say there's been
The rain.
enough rain, but low enough that I'm not worried about the
Ah.
rain ruining this.
I
Like
see.
it's like light rain, like it'll rain for like 2 hours or something like that.
Okay. I mean, I
Hello,
can roll with that
boys.
for sure.
Hey
Hello,
Rob,
and
was
welcome
there an
back.
update?
Yeah, I didn't do it because it's fucking 2 gigs, and I don't know how long
Oh.
that would take.
Bob?
My auto update is on. It's always on. It just I don't know why it hasn't updated.
Okay.
Can't explain it.
Mhm.
That
So I
usually
just
fucks it up. So okay.
restarted. Shit. Right now you sound fine. We'll see.
Okay.
Fucking hell. Randy, I cut it back to where you were just starting to talk about how you don't see the buddy cop aspect in the movie. So if you want to just jump in there, we can roll.
All right,
Okay.
go ahead.
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay, I will point when I'm rolling. Let's see.
Did I already say something about buddy cop, or should I launch in
Nope.
from there?
Yeah, launch
Okay.
in. I cut it back.
Okay.
So
Cool.
you ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Hey, you guys have talked about how this feels like a buddy cop film, and I don't see that as much as you guys do. Maybe a little bit. If that is in the mix, then I think it's kind of a miss of a reference. But I kind of see this more, and it's because Nick Holt is the centerpiece of this film. He's the central character. I see this way more as a comedic superhero movie. Like, this feels like a superhero movie to me in tone. It feels, I think I said already, it's more like akin to Deadpool than anything. And I think that's largely because Nick Holt's character is like this somewhat self-aware, and there's this referential streak to it, self-referential streak. And then he's got a little bit of a pathos to follow along with, just enough to make the comedy self-forward. But then there's like, he's also just like an action hero. He just action heroes all the time. So to me, this is more Deadpool than anything. And I'm not like the world's biggest Deadpool fan, but like, I enjoy them. I enjoy the 2 movies I've seen. I don't think they've come out with the 3rd yet, right? That's still coming.
No, that's
Yeah,
still
'cause
on the
Logan
way.
is supposed to be in it.
Yeah.
So I've seen those 2 Deadpool movies and I enjoyed them, and I would say this fits nicely in those, although a little bit less meta, which I actually appreciate, because there's maybe a little bit much of that right now. I don't know. Overall, I'm pretty pleased with how this, like, seeing this through that lens and letting all the other genres sort of be the orbit around that.
Well, so to kind of go off that and like to agree but also disagree with you in some ways, is I feel like this movie is a bit of a wishbone where Nick Holt is in the middle and you have Nick Cage to one side and Awkwafina on the other side, where the action scenes feel like they really are there to complement or to bring out the ideas of like the buddy cop system, or of like, oh, she inspires me, she stands up to Scourge, we have these drug dealers and all this kind of aspect. Like that's the major aspect. And then you have this aspect of Renfield as a character who is a codependent and who is working through his own psychological dependency on his overbearing boss, where he has to bring him bodies and he's living in this horror world, but he wants to live in a regular world. And so you have the scenes where he goes to therapy and he's interacting with Dracula and stuff like that. And that's like, to me, like in order to service both of those kind of things, the reason I feel the kind of buddy cop aspect is you have these whole scenes where it's just Aquafina and they're kind of trying to develop that character of where she's talking to her sister and, oh, her dad, and he was so respectful and she's trying to live up to that and all that kind of stuff. And you have the scenes with, you know, Nick Cage where he's weakened and he's trying to figure out his world domination plan and like, what is this horror icon going to do in this modern day world? And I feel like there's this like split, this wishbone split, and they're both kind of pulling on both ends. And to me, they're not like coming together, they're pulling. And that's where I kind of feel like the tension of like not gelling necessarily fit in. That was kind of like the vibe to me.
Interesting. Yeah, I definitely didn't have that same tension level. Bob, how about you?
Yeah, I didn't either. I think it's an interesting way to go about taking a classic character like Dracula and sticking him in present day. Because like to take that too seriously might not work out as well. So to just kind of lean real hard in the other direction, I think it's a pretty smart way to go about it. I know they, like, looking back at some of the more recent Universal monster movies, like they tried to go like real superhero with that like Dracula Untold movie, which didn't work out.
Oh, God.
And then the Mummy tried to go like real hard action adventure, and that didn't work out. And like this sort of blends.
Living in a nightmare.
We did have Invisible Man, which was baller.
That's true. Invisible Man,
but that was a horror film.
Yeah, straight ahead horror movie in present day, but it's like a totally revamped version of the Invisible Man. This is sort of like classic Dracula in modern day, which I think is gonna be served up best with a healthy dose of comedy. And I guess they work in some action because that does, you know, the Marvel thing is the craze of the day. And for me, they didn't overdo it, and they work in a lot of comedy in with that action, with especially with like the bloodbath, like the apartment complex where people are getting impaled with their own limbs and stuff like this. That kind of like obscene amount of gore is that like splat stick aspect of it. I really dig that kind of thing. So like the two kind of work for me. The buddy cop or action adventure stuff and like the horror. I don't know. They do work for me. They don't seem dissonant really in any way for me.
I really don't see this movie having any real similarity to an actual horror movie. It's just it's just plot devices from horror movies, which is fine. Like, and that works.
Yeah.
That's what we do in the shadows. Like, that's a very successful movie that does that same shit.
Yeah.
So I think that this movie does that, but also like has that superhero aspect to it, which, you know, I like you said, like it's hard for me to swallow a superhero movie at this point in 2023 when we're like so inundated with it. And I think a lot of people feel that way. Even the comedic ones are kind of like it's become the expected alternate route almost. But this one's just to me, like, this kind of speaks to my humor. I think this and like the pathos and stuff that Nick puts on display. I think like him being in in a group and having this conversation with, what's that actor's name who plays the group leader, because he is fucking great.
Oh, John Ralphia.
No, the group leader, the therapist.
Oh, I gotcha.
Is it Brandon Scott Jones? Was that him? Yeah, Brandon Scott Jones, who's also in the American version of Ghost, which I'm not so keen on. But he did a great job, and like pretty much everybody in the group had like a funny line or two. I don't know. I think that like having all those things to like having action horror with horror elements and comedic tone in set in a centered around a character whose pathos is all about being codependent and needing to break free. it all worked really fucking well.
I think
Those are,
that
like,
is a
some of the
smart
strongest
aspect.
scenes.
Yeah, I think that I
Yeah.
agree with you. I think that approach is a smart aspect to kind of bring in this Dracula movie that's not necessarily about Dracula. I did think that
Yeah.
that was smart.
It was,
Yeah.
yeah.
It would have
I
been
like that.
terrible if they had focused on Dracula entirely. Like, it just,
Yeah.
if everybody's looked at that character through every lens, and they think this is like the last of it for a while. I don't know how you can find a fresh angle on Dracula after this, unless you're doing like going all the way back to basics, which they're trying to do with.
They
I
are.
don't,
Demeter.
man, I think you
Demeter, yeah.
could. I
But
think
even
you
that's
could
not the lead
do it.
character.
Because I don't, so the way I would approach a modern Dracula, just to go off, I completely disagree that I think Dracula could be done, because if you think about kind of what Dracula is and could be, is he's like this rich, he's a count. He's this rich, seemingly potentially like influential man who has the potentially like to manipulate and highly influence people to his will and use his money. I mean, even in the original Dracula, he was like buying up property so that he could like have new hunting grounds within London. And like I think that could be very relevant today, of this guy, this rich guy coming in and manipulating the neighborhood or the society around him to fit into his predatory needs. I mean, I think that's very
it's not,
I mean,
it's not a matter of
did
whether
that.
it would work. It's a matter of overabundance for me.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
they
just
did
like there's
that
just
in
so
that
many different attempts.
Bronx versus Vampires or whatever movie that was
Oh,
on
but
Netflix.
God, that was.
That's exactly the gentrification aspect.
It is,
You
but that
can
was
do
not
it well.
handled
You can
well.
always
Yeah.
do it well.
I mean,
Like,
yeah,
the possibility exists.
Yeah.
it can work. I don't know that would really be of interest to me or to a lot of other people.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
That's how I felt about this movie before I actually saw it, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, they actually are bringing, like, they're not focusing on Dracula at all. He is purely there to be a foil character, and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of times he's also just like
And
comedic
villain,
relief. And villain. I mean, this movie ultimately is a popcorn movie. That's what it does, and I think it serves that very well. And it has this sort of like energy that it maintains like from go throughout the entire runtime of the movie, and it doesn't overstay its welcome. It's a tight like 90-minute movie, whereas like a lot of those fucking like newer Marvel movies are like pushing 3 hours, and it's just it's way fucking too much. Like this is a tight popcorn movie, and I think if you go into it expecting that, you will be pleasantly surprised. I think it knows exactly what it was trying to do, and as far as I can tell, I think it did a really great job at like dialing that in and sort of balancing the humor and the gore, and in like a dash of meta, like not too much, because you see Nick Cage playing sort of like the Bela Lugosi Dracula in these like old black and white flashbacks and stuff. So there's like some meta stuff happening, but it's not like too much. I think it's just enough to add some like charm and additional humor to it.
Yeah, that's what's kind of was honestly, I'm wondering. I still haven't listened to the Nick Cage Q&A that you guys recorded, but so I'm usually like very much more about, I like to go to Marvel movies and watch a lot of them so far, watching the shows and kind of like just, I like underworld, goofy popcorn action films and stuff like that. I honestly was, maybe Rob, but I was surprised at how kind of positive spin like that Randy had on it. Because when I actually watched this film without like being there and like hearing Nick Cage talk about it and like maybe the atmosphere that the Overlook brings, I kind of found this movie as like being very generic. I mean, I already mentioned the lines about like the cop aspects, the action sequences, there is some over the top ridiculous gore of like ripping people's arms off and the face getting ripped off and stuff like that. But I just saw like almost like 2/3 of this movie being very, very generic action, generic cop aspects, with like Nick Cage being like the spice that really was kind of like special about this film. And so I was actually pretty surprised at like Randy being so positive on this. Do you guys not feel that this movie's like abundantly generic?
Abundantly? No, I think this movie has a combination of things. So there's familiarity to it for sure, but it's like I think that it does walk a tightrope to where it could have easily fallen into what you're describing. But I was just, and maybe it was like counterintuitive from what I felt about the trailer, and maybe that expectation helped.
Mhm.
I don't know. But all I know is that when I watched this, I was expecting it to be far less funny than it was, and it hit me funny. It hit me as charming, and it was tight, and it was mercifully tight with its writing and with its runtime and all that stuff. The effects looked good. I think that for the most part, the generic parts that do exist are there for a reason. I just not always serving a good a very very important purpose, but serving some kind of purpose, and you're zooming right past them anyway. I think that's kind of perfect for a comedy, so I don't have a big problem with it.
Okay.
I just see it as more comedy than anything else, and I'm more forgiving towards that thing as long as
Maybe
I'm
that
laughing.
could be
And
the
I was
aspect.
laughing.
Yeah.
As long as you're laughing, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. They take a pretty original idea, focusing a movie on Renfield, and they don't take it like too self-serious. And I don't know, I guess for what I was expecting, I was pleasantly surprised too. Yeah, it is like pretty damn funny, and it cashes in on like some of the vampire lore. Like you get a lot of, Nick Cage in the beginning of the movie when he gets like, almost killed, and he's like hooked up to all these blood bags in his lair, and his like skin's like regrowing. It looks real gruesome. It's kind of like hanging off and dangling, and
Yeah.
he like lets himself into Nick Holt's new apartment because he's got a welcome mat that says like,
That
come
was
on in,
pretty
or whatever.
funny. Yeah.
little gags like that really worked for me. His ability to like turn into smoke and enter the Pope and explode his ass was fun.
That was sweet.
There's just like really interesting little bits with the vampire lore that are weaved in here that are enough like little treats, like little like horror treats thrown in that like appease me as a horror fan, I guess. And like the comedy's working, and the action isn't like too over the top. I don't know, and it's also like largely just funny. So I don't know.
The
Like
acting
I
was great. It was very over the top, but like it's a comedy, and it worked really well. In my,
I guess I meant like not.
You mean for
drenched
Nick
in it.
Cage,
like not too much of it. Yeah.
Well, so like
Yeah, it
I
didn't
like
overload
John,
me with
I
that,
like John
guess.
Ralphio, but like the
Yeah,
mom, the mom was like the most generic fucking
Bleh.
thing.
Yeah,
And so there,
I'll
I
agree
mean,
with that.
so there, I mean, there's like these moments. So for the most part, like I said, Nick Cage, I love the moments that you mentioned. Another moment that I really liked that isn't even comedy beat, but just like a Dracula beat where she lifts the shades and he starts catching on fire. He turns into the bats, and then like he's on fire as the bats, and that was just really cool. But there's this moment, it seems to be all the kind of cop bullshit, I guess, where they literally have them surrounded, and Aquafina fires like 2 shots and gets in a car and drives, like she's at the end of the street, and the woman delivers a line of like, find them. I'm like, they're at the end of the street. They're right there. What are you talking about? Find
They're
them.
gone.
Yeah,
they're gone.
You literally have them surrounded with like 20 fucking cop cars that drive after them. She shot a light. Like, it's it's so painfully generic sometimes that stuff like that makes me go like, what? And like the whole I told your dad. I thought they were for seriously like making a joke, because when he's like, you're trying to be your dad, and I told him I'd look after you, and you're a disappointment. I was like, what? Is this seriously the lines we're delivering in 2023?
I really think that it comes down to like it really comes down to how it was portrayed. I think that they were really trying to give a pathos to her as well. And ultimately, you don't need it for this film. I think that like, it's a fair attempt, but for whatever reason, whether it be her acting, the writing, whatever, that is definitely the most generic. Like, if you're gonna look at this for different genre lenses, the police procedural is the one that's most lacking, because there's no mystery that you really care about. You're just kind of along for the ride. You don't really care about the family aspect. It's just a MacGuffin to get things moving. And it does give her one nice moment where she gets to like do a fake out where she's pretending to be, siding with Dracula to save her sister, and it works. I think like I was a little bit like, I don't know, maybe she'll have to like come to her senses or whatever, but it was part of a scheme, and that worked okay. But I don't think the juice was worth the squeeze. They could have done all of that stuff with a little bit less screen time and given her more comedic beats, and I think that would have helped things better. ultimately, I think that the balance, this thing it's balanced, but it's a wickedly like tilty balance. It's
it
not,
starts to,
it's
yeah,
not
it starts to
perfectly
tip. You're
balanced.
like, whoa, that's
Yeah,
gonna fall
yeah,
over, and it
exactly. There's a
doesn't
few
quite
scenes where
fall
it's like,
over.
oh no, is this going too far in the
Yeah.
other direction now and changing speeds entirely? But it eventually evens itself out every time. It does tilt.
Yeah.
I think that, I mean, I guess I see what you're saying, man. Like the stuff with Aquafina and her family is definitely the weakest link. I guess it feels like a little half baked and like, well, we gotta do something with this character, right? So let's do this kind of like obvious, like, trope. But like the whole movie is based on tropes that we've seen before as well. And I guess I give a little more leeway to that sort of thing when I'm watching something that is working primarily for me as a comedy. Like if they were going for straight drama and like really pulling at your heartstrings, like you got to give me a little more than that for sure. But as if she's there to like kick Teddy Lobo in the nuts or whatever, that's it's fine.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't bother me too much because they also don't spend like too much time on it and add like an extra 25 minutes of boring shit.
Yeah, but I mean, they kind of do in some way. I think that's probably because it's not full comedy, full bore all the way. And I'm not saying like I have to be doing these laughs, but kind of like Randy said, where it starts to wobble and stuff is even the lines of, when they another just generic ass line of like, you're a hero, like we weren't already watching this dude doing fucking kick flips through the air and all kind of shit, and like, you're a hero, Renfield. I was like, oh, and I mean,
doing kick flips
we
on a
need to
skateboard.
do this, I don't know. Just the lines like
I agree with that.
really kind of took the wind out of me a little bit.
I agree with that, and like I do see what you're saying. To me, it's like it's so quickly done, and like it so quickly moves to the next comedic beat that I'm not too concerned, or next like nostalgic beat if it's horror stuff. Usually, it's more nostalgic feeling. I don't know. Like I could see getting tripped up by that stuff, and in a movie that was not keeping me chuckling, I probably would be more harsh on that. But that's the thing, is like the comedic beats by and large are all really fucking solid for me, and I feel like I forgive so much if a movie can be a comedy of some kind at all and still like get me to laugh, because there's nothing's harder than trying to get somebody to laugh when they ask you to tell a joke, or you know what I mean. It's that expectation that, especially with films, that's why there's like barely any straight comedies anymore, because everybody's too wise and is looking for the punchline before it's coming. Nobody can just sit back and like hear a joke happen anymore unless it's like spontaneously of the moment. So in film, it doesn't really like audiences are just not primed for that the same way they were. They're looking for tether and connections to what's going to happen next so that they can feel like they're on top of it. I do this.
What really took everybody, I guarantee you everybody, by surprise in this movie is fucking ska jokes. Nobody saw that.
I honestly,
nobody saw that coming.
I'm not hip to it. I'm not hip to the scene, and I did not realize that there was a potential new ska wave coming through. Do you think that that's why? Do you think it's like somewhat prevalent? Oh, okay.
No, I think that ska music is like right next to like butt rock and
Low
fucking
hanging fruit. Yeah,
it's extremely
Mall rock.
easy to mock because it was like because it was associated with like Spencer's Gifts Kids
Gotcha.
at a certain year of the late 90s and early 2000s. And so like it's just easy to make fun of, and it's an easy target, but like it's a fucking great genre. And when I say there's a new wave coming, I'm not talking about like there's no waves of anything.
It's not
on the
your
scale
radio.
that they used to be, because there's no centralized
No
taste
radio,
making
yeah.
anymore. Everything's algorithmically and tailored and curated.
Well, that's why
for
I
you.
was like, I was wondering, do kids these days even know what ska is? Like if a 15-year-old went to go see this movie and they're making ska jokes, I was wondering, are they gonna get this?
But
they
maybe
know the
that's how
goddamn
they
mozzarella
find
sticks
out.
meme.
That's how they
Maybe.
find out about it, and that's the gold right there, Jerry. I love the character, the girl that's in the self-help group or whatever, and she's like talking shit about her boyfriend who likes ska, and somebody's like, fucking hate ska, and she's like, hey, that severely undermines the contributions the genre's made to music.
Yeah.
And then she's like, oh god,
And that was part of her that was part of her
They're
therapy needs.
Codependency.
I
I love
fucking
that.
love
Yeah.
that shit.
That
so
was really
good.
funny. It was funny, and we had a chance to at the Q&A to ask questions, and I really, really wanted to ask what their true feelings towards ska music was, but I was not chosen. So
I mean, I
we'll
feel
have to
like
die
that
not
could-
knowing.
I feel like that could only actually come from a ska lover in a way, because
no.
otherwise, no, I would honestly think, who else is thinking about ska to make a ska joke?
Dude,
Someone
people
who's
our
tired of-
age.
Someone who started making fun of Limp Bizkit reaches for ska.
Yeah,
Okay,
It's
all right.
that's the
Nickelback's
move.
played out. Let's
Yeah,
bring fucking real
Nickelback,
big fish
yeah.
onto the
Really?
hot
Okay.
seat.
Yeah.
Sell out.
So out.
Love those.
Yeah,
folks.
I don't know. I think we need to land the plane real quick. I think one last thing I wanted to bring up is just like, how did you guys feel about the overall like look and design of Nick Cage as Dracula? Did that like sit okay with y'all?
I liked it, with the exception of whatever teeth implant that he was using was
Yeah.
definitely affecting his speech, and it was hard for me not to like get a little distracted by that at times.
Yeah.
Other than that, though, no, I think he looked great. Like the glowing, the color in this movie is so vibrant, and he's got this great like muted, still colorful palette. It's tough to describe, even like the red crushed velvet and shit. Like it's really nice. I don't know. The color in this movie overall is just really fucking. It's exactly what a comedy needs the color to be. Honestly.
Yeah.
This kind of comedy, I should say, like a more bordering on slapsticky silliness stuff.
Yeah. I liked it for the most part. It worked for me.
You brought it up,
Yeah.
Bob. Did you have a feeling towards it?
I overall was pretty damn positive. I think when I saw the trailer, I didn't like the teeth. I was like, man, that's too much. Like, just stick with the two fangs or whatever. But like in seeing it, like I kind of, throughout the 90-minute movie or whatever, I kind of got used to it, and I don't know, it didn't bother me by the end of it. It kind of was distracting at first. And also in the movie, I like how his two like fangs will grow out whenever he's about to feed or whatever, and that kind of plays into them getting snapped off or whatever. I thought that was kind of cool. Overall, yeah, I agree. Like, I love his outfits, all of his rings, like the makeup, the wounds on his face as they heal over time. Like, I think all the practical effects were really well done and just aided with some CG stuff. I think they did that blend really well overall. There's a lot of CG blood in this movie, which usually I fucking hate. But again, like, I think I give a little more grace to it when it's used in a comedy for whatever reason. If this was a straight horror movie where you got like a fucking serious Dracula and then you're throwing some CG blood on the screen, I'm gonna be annoyed by it, I think. But it really doesn't bother me when you're just ripping people's arms off left and right and beating the shit out of them with it. It's fine.
I agree with you, but I also cannot sit back and say that it wouldn't be better with some nifty fucking practical effects. It's still a cheap out, but knowing how badly this movie's done, it's kind of hard to blame. Kind of hard to retroactively blame them for that when they're sucking wind at the box office. That fucking sucks.
There's one.
Comedy's terrible, man. It's crazy.
There's one aspect I am very surprised you guys have not brought up at all, especially you, Bob, over there, is the setting of New Orleans.
Yes.
She even says at one point, "Meet me at Cafe Du Monde."
Cafe Du Monde.
Yeah. Everybody in the theater is like, "Oh, that's the
we're there.
We're there.
Du Monde."
Yeah. I mean, they meet at Cafe Du Monde and they do like a couple, drone shots of the city and stuff. But outside of that, like, it could be set almost anywhere. I mean, there's like a huge
one kind of themed bar or whatever restaurant thing.
Yeah, and there's whenever they go to the warehouse with the ska boyfriend, there's like a bunch of Mardi Gras floats in the background that I love.
Oh yeah. And they kind of
the
catacombs that he's living in a little bit. Yeah,
I think they use it. They don't focus on it, but I think they use the setting.
Yeah, I'm pro.
They could have gone a little harder with it.
Set in New Orleans. Yeah, they could have gone a little hard.
But I also don't think. I think that's just a wish list, not really a thing that's beneficial to the movie necessarily.
I agree. One thing I thought they were gonna do is whenever they do the protection circle to like trap Dracula. I thought they were gonna grab like a bag of beignets and use the powdered sugar to do it or something.
It would have been funny
They used
too.
cocaine, which also makes
Cocaine
more
was
sense,
also pretty
but,
funny.
Yeah. But yeah, they were eating beignets, and I was like, man, I wonder if they're going to use that insane amount of powdered sugar in the bottom of that bag. But they don't. Anyways, yeah, good call, Juice. The setting is like an automatic plus a half star for Bob. Half star for the Crescent City.
Bob's code is all over the place.
You don't need to know my code. It's elusive.
I don't think you know your code, Bob.
Whatever.
That's
what
like
I want
the
you to
American
think.
justice system.
Bob's a man with a loose set of codes. A loose man over there.
Looser than loose sanus. Yeah, so let's go ahead and rate this thing.
Okay, go ahead.
Let's rate this thing out of 5. If you guys have anything else you want to contribute, make your points now. Out of 5, Soju, why don't you kick us off? How do you feel about Renfield?
I was not generally as high on this film as you guys, and I kept wondering, not to discredit y'all's ability to enjoy or analyze or look at films or anything, but I was like, I wonder how much like seeing Nick Cage or being at the Overlook affected that in any kind of way, because when I actually watched it, I thought a lot of this was generic, and I was disappointed in a lot of the dialogues and just kind of like scenes that were doing it. So I think if I can remember right, there are 3 main kind of action sequences. There was the focused on Nicholas Hoult, like whooping ass. There's the one in the with the people who stole the drugs, the first one, and that hitman or whatever, which was too cheesy for me. There was the one in the bar, and then there was the one at the apartment complex. And the apartment complex was the only one, because that's where they really ramp it up. He's ripping arms off. I think somebody gets their face ripped off, and it kind of leans into the over-the-top ridiculous gore, which, I mean, they do, to be fair, that does happen a lot in the first one too. I mean, a dude gets his head ripped off and it slams up against the car and stuff like that. But I don't know, something about those other ones just felt too cheesy, Marvel action-y sequences to me. Like, this is a different kind of Renfield and not what you're expecting, and he can whoop some ass. And I that just wasn't doing it for me, honestly, that aspect. So pretty much the action hero cop aspects of this were too bland and generic and too tropey to forgive. I mean, the lines that they were delivering in this were blowing my mind at how, like, literally just the most generic shit you could write on the page. That's what they delivered. As I mentioned before, you got to know when to play ball. I told him I'd look after you. Find them when they're literally just drove away. It all was just too generic for me. The horror aspect and the codependency aspect, I like that. I thought that was a really smart aspect. The scenes where he's sitting around the the group and talking about it, and then everybody's like, yeah, no, we get it. Yeah, like that was great. I really liked, for the most part, what Nick Cage was doing and the aspects of Dracula that they brought in. The funny jokes of welcome, come on in, from the welcome mat and stuff like that. I love the sequence at the beginning where they do the old black and white, and it's kind of showing their history together, even though it was short. I love those beats. And so playing off of old B movie horror tropes and kind of poking fun at that and playing with that, I was into that, and I thought that worked well. So I was split on this movie. Yeah, I felt a lot of it was generic, and I could kind of see why not a lot of people would maybe want to check this out. It just, I don't know. It just felt a little flat for me, honestly. So I think overall, I'm going to give this a 2.5. I like the horror aspects. I like the Nick Cage aspects, mostly Nicholas Hoult aspects. And then the negatives are going to be the cop aspects, the Aquafina aspects, the action mostly aspects. So yeah, split for me, 2.5. Bob, out of 5, where are you going to rate Renfield?
Hello.
What is none of your business?
What is none of your business? I think I like this movie a good bit more than you. And I do, yeah, I mean, to be fair, like Randy and I did see this at like the world premiere with Nick Cage in attendance, and there was like, I don't know, you take that with a grain of salt, I guess.
It's
but
a good
like
beer situation.
we saw it with the best beer, and to be fair, Juice, you saw it with the worst beer. You watched it in the worst setting you possibly could have, with like a cam version. So like, you know, take both of these sides with a grain of salt, I guess. I think overall, like I think
Randy does not like taking that risk.
Nick Cage, oh, I got you. Nick Cage does a great job.
Timestamp that one.
As
I love what
Nick Cage does a great job as Dracula in this movie.
I watched it in the theater, Bob.
And,
I paid $12.
You saw it in South Korea, which definitely has it and is showing it in theaters right now.
It actually
What'd you think of Nick Cage, Rob?
I liked Nick Cage as fucking Dracula in this movie, and I did a great job. His mannerisms as Dracula, he gets a lot of like the classic movements in there, but he adds his own sort of Nick Cage flair and sort of, I don't know, I don't know, man. Like, he brings his personality to the character in a way that's like not overdone, but is done in a way that like really serves the comedy and the energy of this movie in a really great way. There's another scene we didn't really get too much into, but like after he lets himself into Nick Holt's apartment, and Renfield's like trying to explain away where he's been and what he's been doing and how he hasn't like really betrayed Dracula, and like the look on Nick Cage's face where he's just like bewildered and he's like, oh yeah, is that what you're doing? Oh yeah. Like the way he's like selling that scene sitting at his kitchen table, like in his pastel ass apartment, is like so fucking funny to me. That kind of stuff just works so well. And again, like whenever he's like coming back to full power, and like the makeup and everything, all that shit works. The costume design is fantastic for him. He definitely is the bright star in this movie. Everything Nicholas Hoult brings to it, though, like I think he does a great job playing Renfield. He's definitely like, he's got a lot of like solid character beats when he's going to the support group and like making friends and explaining himself, and like all the comedic beats in that circle really work. The action sequences worked for me too. Are they like the greatest action sequences I've ever seen? No, but there's enough like blood and guts to make them entertaining. The humor works. The ska jokes were a slam dunk for me as well. Obviously, the setting of the movie. I think it does a good job at blending all of this like horror action comedy stuff, and the meta aspect works as well. And this is like as far as like Universal monster movies go, like I'm okay with stuff like this. Like I don't need them all to be like deathly serious. I definitely don't want to see like a full blown like action hero Renfield, like where he's just like going through city to city, like murdering vampire after vampire. Like I definitely don't have any interest in seeing that. So like this comedic action horror thing kind of works for me. It's a hell of a lot better than that fucking like mummy Tom Cruise bullshit.
Well, that's a
which is a
low bar.
Very, 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 very low bar. I think the overall idea is just interesting too, to like set a movie around Renfield and not Dracula necessarily. I think that solid energy maintained throughout the whole movie, solid chemistry with the cast. I don't have really many negatives, if any, at all. Teddy Lobo's fucking hilarious. I don't know. I'm gonna come in with a 4.25 overall on this.
Whoa.
Randeezy, how do you feel?
I don't feel that good. No, I'm
good beer.
Spoiler alert is that I'm gonna come in between you guys. As always, I am the meat.
In between
Randy
us.
is the meat.
I ride meat and only meat. No, I think that this movie, to me, I think it's fair to say that like the setting that we were in was conducive to a positive experience, and I think that it did enhance my enjoyment. I think that's fair to say. I do also think though that like if this movie wasn't funny like it is, all, if not probably most, if not all of the comments you've made, Justin, would hit me similarly or put me a little bit closer to that feeling. How you describe this movie is how I felt about it when I saw the trailers. You know what I mean? Like I was afraid that that's what it was going to be, but like the jokes were just landing for me. And like you can in a comedy, in a movie that makes you laugh, that's clearly not taking itself too seriously and also not taking itself like beyond the border of even like it's not full bore slapstick, but it has some elements of that. And I don't know, it works. It makes me very willing to forgive a lot of other things. And maybe I'm just prepared for a new comedy because the world is so shy of them now. And when we get them, it's always like a dark comedy or it's a this comedy or a that comedy. This movie has maybe a little darkness to it, but you would never call this a dark comedy.
No.
You would begin, and that's why like calling it a horror doesn't even seem right. It's an action comedy. And I think when Bob was talking, it gave me this thought about talking about the Mummy and like the Invisible Man, all those things. And the thing that kind of separates this movie from those is the score. Like, I don't want to see a Renfield movie about hunting vampires that has this. They do that in every goddamn movie, and it doesn't. It feels so inauthentic. But this movie does like stupid little needle drops and shit. What's that song that they play during the apartment? They do a needle drop with a. It's been like 3 weeks since I've seen this movie.
Oh yeah, it's that that Lizzo track. Are you ready?
Yeah, that shit works for me, man. Like I don't know, it's fun. This is just a fun movie, and it's not trying to be much more than that. The things that aren't fun about this movie are the things where they focus on the straight man aspect of Awkwafina, like Justin's point. Like those lines could be rewritten or delivered differently in such a way to make them more conducive to comedies, make them more pithy, make them more like jabbing at each other or whatever.
Jabba.
They do that a little bit. But no, I don't know. I think that this movie has its flaws, and it definitely wobbles in its genre choices. It's not perfectly balanced, but I was pleasantly surprised that it wasn't that it was that it was funny and that it allowed me to enjoy it and not take it too seriously. It's tough to get me to like do as our good friend Miles says and turn my brain off to enjoy a film. Like it takes a certain kind of movie and a certain kind of expectation for me to do that. This movie managed to do that, and it did it by way of making me laugh intentionally. Not an easy task. I got to give it props. That said, it's not going to be a movie that holds up to heavy scrutiny, I don't think. So for me, that puts it at about a 3.5. So I'm kind of right down the middle.
I did get 2 full-scale Renfield posters, one with Renfield, one with Dracula. They were putting them bitches everywhere all over town. They are this is on buses. This is like all like huge posters all over the subway systems. Like this is everywhere in Korea right now. They are pushing this movie.
They are pushing it everywhere, man. It's crazy. Like I think that over half the budget is definitely going to marketing because they are ad placing every fucking
that's why I'm kind of so surprised. It bombed so hard because
it did bad.
I have not
it doesn't have an Iron Man in it.
I have not seen an advertising for a movie like this in a long time on fucking buses and shit.
Scream, I can't speak to Korea,
not
but
for a
Scream
comedy.
6 had a fucking insane ad campaign.
Yeah, not here. I wish
crazy.
they did. I would have loved to jack a freaking Scream 6 poster from Korea.
What? You would love to jack it to a Scream 6 poster? Huh?
Oh yeah, look at that ghost face.
Christianity.
Hot tub.
Hot tub Christian. I'm surprised that they bet so hard on this movie. Honestly, like with a budget of 60 plus million, they don't do that shit very often. I'm happy they did because I liked it, but
they're cocky with Nick Cage. I think they were banking on Nick Cage selling this.
I think that more than that, Universal as an entity is starting to really put stock where in its most reliable properties, which are the Universal Monsters. Like they're creating the Universal Monsters land at the new Universal Park. They they need new fodder to keep people interested in that. So you get your Renfields, and they just announced another Universal Monster movies, yet untitled, no details on it. Like they're starting to pull those characters out of the closet a little bit more.
That new one's going to be directed by the crew that did Scream 5 and 6 Radio Silence.
There you go. So I mean, I think it's a business decision to have. I mean, of course it is, but I think it's like that's the reason is they're trying to bring those characters. They failed at the Dark Universe, so they're doing the next best thing and just pulling them out piecemeal and making cool things with them where they can and pushing them heavily. And unfortunately, this this failure on a box office scale is probably going to damper that, which is
that is unfortunate. I think they're focusing on like director-driven movies because Invisible Man was developed by, I'm blanking on the director's name, but like brought to them, and like as was this. And I'm wondering like if Radio Silence had an idea in their back pocket for Creature of the Black Lagoon or whatever they're going to do and brought it to them as well. Like it seems to be like they're not just saying like, hey, here's a shitload of money, go make the next action horror movie, whatever. They're like really waiting for like directors to come up with interesting ideas that they want to bet on, which is great. I think that's wonderful. But
Lee Winnell,
thank you. Yeah, I'm blanking on it. Anyway, so that puts our aggregate at a 3.4. Let's go ahead and jump into our Rotten Tomatoes segment, see what critics and users think about Renfield.
All right, ladies and germs, this is the Rotten Tomatoes segment in which I'm going to have these gentlemen guess within the best of their abilities what the aggregate positive score on RottenTomatoes.com for Renfield is. I never find a way of saying that doesn't sound like just the fullest run-on sentence of all time.
Killing it.
Anyway,
it's only been 9 years.
One day I'll crack it. All right. There are 204 critic reviews on this film. 204. We're looking for the aggregate percentage of positive scores. I'm going to start with Bob today. Bob, where do you think the tomatometer lands for the critics?
I think it's going to be positive, but not real high. I don't think this is going to be rotten, but I don't know. I could see this like blend of genres not really hitting with critics. So I'll go with a 60%.
Oh man, 60%. Okay,
60?
That's how you say that in less than 5 seconds.
Yes.
6.
Did Rob glitch out?
No, 60.
And
all right.
Juice, how about you?
That's a pretty good guess. I think the critics are going to be more like Soju and be a little harsher on this film. 60. I'll say 55. So we have a chance to tie.
55. Well,
oh, wait, no, we don't.
yeah, you do.
Oh, yeah, we do.
50, okay.
Yeah. Well, you're going to be upset to know that there is no tie because Bob just barely missed dead center. This is 59%.
Oh,
59.
Shit.
Yeah.
It's rotten. There's the rotten icon right there. I'm seeing a rotten icon.
Can I get a hell skeet?
I'll give you a hell skeet, Bob. Hell skeet.
Fuck you.
Thank you.
Critic Soju over here. I should be writing for Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
Oh.
At the bar is
in due time. Maybe we should plug that real quick. If you guys are listening out there and would like to see your boys over at Straight Chilling become a certified Rotten Tomatoes critic, please leave us a 5-star rating on iTunes. I think we need like 25 more or something, and then we'll be in there like swimwear and correcting the ship of all these shitty ass reviews we've been reading on iTunes for the past 8 years. On Rotten Tomatoes for the past 8 years. Anyway, please continue.
We're bringing the change that Rotten Tomatoes needs.
Conversation.
We're just gonna start rating other people's shitty reviews. Like, this dude's a fucking dipshit. Watch the movie.
That we literally do an episode. We do a segment on Rotten Tomatoes where we make fun of people's reviews.
We do.
We're the ones who suck. It's us in the mirror that are sucking.
Nah, it's fine.
Anyway, moving on to the audience score. There are over 500 verified ratings for the audience in this film. Juice, you're going to start us off this time around. Where do you think those 500 plus ratings land?
I think it's going to be similar. Maybe I think it's going to be pretty close, honestly. I'll steal Bob 60.
60. Okay, a stolen 60. Bob, how about you?
It's tough because like nobody saw this movie. I'm gonna go. I guess I'll
500
go
plus
lower.
people did.
I'll go lower, and I'll steal the 55.
55. Well, Bob, you should have some faith in yourself, my guy. This is an 81%.
Holy shit!
Audience
Whoa!
score.
Nice. That is
That's a
spicy.
hell, Bob. I want to
See?
know you.
I'll give you a big ol' hell yeah.
Give it to me.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
That was a big
Yeah, that's-
old.
Man, that's as big as I'm willing to go. I'm not Nick Cage.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. That's the best
All right.
one.
He is a
That's the-
vampire.
Critics'
Look at that.
consensus reads as follows. Although it fails to take full advantage of its committed stars and killer premise, Renfield's batty horror comedy blend sinks in just enough to leave an impression. God, that I think they just tailor all of their critics' consensus just entirely around puns. I don't think it actually has anything to do with what the score is at all.
I agree. It's terrible. But hey,
Sell magazines, Randy. You know.
Spider-Man is swinging into theaters and everybody is slinging shit out of their pee hole about it.
Damn.
You gotta consult your fucking doctor about that one, big dog. That's I'm slinging the shit out of my penis.
Hot brown on the way. Hot brown coming.
Look, Betty, you have gonorrhea.
Dracula.
Let's read some negative reviews and see if there's anything that's comedy gold in here. Let's make fun of other people with more clout than us. All right, here we go. Garlic
25
bulbs
reviews more clout. Sorry.
Garlic bulbs at the ready for Chris McKay's horror comedy, a cynical side hustle of a picture, come to drain the extremities of the Bram Stroker. I did it. I did the
You
stroker.
did it.
I be stroking today.
Glad I'm not the only
Come
one.
to drain the extremities of the Bram Stoker estate and install a lowly pretender as king. My God,
Oh my
is it
God.
a law that you have to make puns about Dracula in your review? Is it
Got
a
to.
fucking legal requirement? What kind of jail do you go to for failing? Okay.
Lock
Let's see.
these people up.
Put them in jail. That
With
Cage
them
wins the
through
movie.
street.
That Cage wins the movie might not be entirely surprising, but Renfield might leave you wondering if you haven't secretly been rooting for his Dracula all along too. Oh, well, we couldn't have that. We couldn't.
These are terrible.
Yeah,
These
we
are
can do
all
better.
terrible.
We can do better. Maybe.
All right, one more, and yeah, one more. I make no promises after all that
Probably.
shit. The viscous violence, brain dead
Oh my
characters, and
God.
sinister but shallow vibe makes Renfield the bloodiest of bloody messes.
Somebody just figured out what
Jesus.
alliteration is.
Christ.
Wow.
My God. My God.
My
You don't have to.
My God.
My God.
It doesn't have to be things about it being. Oh my God.
My
You're gonna
God.
beat the ass off of your body.
Oops.
Damn.
All right.
Hot brown coming through.
We got some hot brown here on Rotten Tomatoes.
I just don't know what to say. This is like, it's absolutely a requirement that if you have a Dracula film, you have to mock it using the most puns available to you, or you're not paid. You're paid per pun, I'm pretty sure. That's the
I
Rotten
see.
Tomatoes. Bob, Why don't you tell us
Yeah.
what's coming up next?
Hey, it's totally time for trivia.
It's totally time for trivia.
Speaking of alliteration, boys, whoa, hey, oh, look at that. Yeah,
Oh, hey.
hey, oh,
Whoa, hot
we got
brown.
some hot trivia coming through right now. Nicolas Cage's uncle, Francis Ford Coppola, directed Dracula in 1992. The studio wanted Cage instead of Keanu Reeves to play Jonathan Harker, but Coppola did not want to work with him after what he called hijacking the movie with his acting choices, referring to their bad experience on Peggy Sue Got Married from 1986. Oof.
Damn. Dude, that's almost 40 years old. I mean, come on.
That's, dude. I don't know what to say to that. It's like it would have been. I love Keanu. I really do. I think he's probably one of the most beloved figures in Hollywood. As
Not
a
in
person.
that. Not in.
Not in
Dracula,
that
though.
fucking
Not in
movie.
Dracula.
Yeah.
You could have cast like anybody else. Like, what was fucking Coppola thinking with that? That it was that or Nick Cage, who is famously going to go big. He is going to.
Yeah.
Those were
he
your
got
options?
butthurt.
Ugh, man.
Uncle got butthurt. Yeah, Nick Cage is his last name. Actually, he's a Coppola. His last name's Coppola. He changed his name to I guess like prove that he can make it on his own and not just based on his name.
Oh, you're being serious.
Don't
Oh,
touch
No,
me.
yeah, I'm serious.
No,
okay.
that's 100% real.
Oh, okay.
This is
The Coppolas
is
are all over. baby.
trivia.
Okay.
Trivia. Yeah. Yeah, they are everywhere. So yeah, Dracula is one of three characters Nick Cage tried to play since starting his career. The other two are Captain Nemo and Superman. In 2018,
Aw.
Cage stated he's too old for Superman now, and he's more focused on Captain Nemo and Dracula. So check Dracula off the list now. Let's see if he gets
Yeah, for
Captain Nemo.
Nemo would be dope. Oh,
Yeah,
those pictures of him in that Superman suit though
Yeah,
Yeah.
are not great.
so close.
Oh man.
close.
Oh man.
Apparently, Nick Cage owns several castles, and he lived in a quote haunted castle for 1 year to focus on writing a horror script. Once he finished, his laptop broke.
Oh,
I guess he lost it.
That fucking sucks, dude.
Oh,
What a bummer.
no. Gotta back that shit up.
Oh,
On the
shit.
Back
cloud.
that shit up.
Gotta
There's no
back that
clouds
shit.
in the castle, boys.
In the haunted castle? No, there's
Yeah.
not.
Dude, we need to
He's
hang
a
out
fine
with Nick
motherfucker
Cage.
when you back that ass up.
When you
Is there
when you
any
back
way for us
that
to
ass up.
befriend Nick Cage? Is that possible in any way?
Yes, it
He
is.
should
certainly
buy a
possible.
castle in South Korea and come hang out with
Nick
me.
Cage doesn't have friends. He has inspirations. Okay.
Nick Cage, I know you're listening.
We're inspiring.
come build a castle in South Korea. for
And
me.
then, yeah.
And I'll watch
for-
after it.
I'll watch it.
Totally.
I'll be the caretaker.
I'll watch it for you.
Shadow of the Vampire from 2000 was the first movie ever produced by Nick Cage, which is a badass fucking movie if you
Yeah,
haven't
it
seen
is.
it. I really want us to review that on the show at some point. It fucking rolls. William Ragsdale, who plays the elderly priest in that like one very brief scene in this movie, is best known for playing Charlie Brewster in Fright Night, which is really
Oh
cool.
shit!
Yeah,
I did not recognize him.
me either. He's grown up. He looks a little
He's so
different.
cool, Brewster.
He's so cool. In an interview with Collider, director Chris McKay admitted that the film is intended to serve as a direct sequel to Todd Browning's Dracula, which, if you watch the movie, that's made very, very clear.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Nick Cage is often compared to Klaus Kinski, who is the legendary German actor who played Dracula in Nosferatu the Vampire, 1979, which is also a fucking fantastic Dracula movie that you should watch.
Wait, what?
The Nosferatu 70s remake.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
thought that-
it's called Nosferatu the Vampire. That's the whole title of the movie.
I thought that was a Herzog film.
It is, but Klaus Kinski plays
Oh,
Nosferatu.
play
He's
Nosferatu.
Dracula.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the
they're-
one me and
they-
Randy started to watch.
Yeah, we watched it for like 5 minutes and we were like, neither of us are in a good headspace for
I don't
this.
think I
Oh,
finished it. It looked great.
Oh
It's
no,
fucking
I
fantastic.
I don't think we watched more than 5 minutes. I genuinely don't. I think we had other shit going on.
Yeah.
It was a
maybe.
wedding weekend. So.
It was.
Yeah, that one you gotta be ready to like pay full attention to for like 2 hours, but it rules though. It's great. While promoting Season of the Witch from 2011, Nick Cage said his love for Christopher Lee is the reason he makes horror movies. Lee is also considered one of the best actors ever to portray Dracula on screen. What else we got here? Renfield syndrome, I guess, is apparently a thing. It's known as clinical vampirism and is a rare psychiatric disorder where an individual has an intense fascination with drinking blood or believing themselves to be a vampire. Which I think we had, like a long time ago, we had 1 or 2 people call in for a hotline kink.
I think it was Michael. Wasn't it Michael?
I wasn't going to put him on blast.
Oh.
Yeah,
I mean, he called.
He did call.
I'm an executive by day and a wild man by night.
Wild man by night. Yeah.
No. That is one kink I can't get behind. I'm usually a kink man, but I can't get on that train.
I'm a real kink man.
I'm usually down to clown, but that is a no-go for
Oh, vanilla juice over here.
Yeah, I know. The vanilla is I would pass out.
I know. I know you would. Oh, boys. What a vanilla asshole.
Oh, I know. That's right. Bleached and everything.
That's not what vanilla is.
The whitest of white.
I assure you that the most vanilla man in the universe has not gotten his asshole bleached.
He doesn't.
Still doo-doo stained.
He's too scared to wipe.
Bo was Afraid coming out next week.
It's gay if you touch your own butthole. That means you're gay.
Apparently, yeah, that's shit. We had a whole conversation.
You might get too aroused.
That is a legitimate fear that some gentlemen have. So it does not surprise me that drinking blood is a kink.
Dude, I wonder what their boxer short budget is, because you know, I would just throw them in the trash every day.
You just gotta clamp them up. You just use binder clips to clamp your ass crack together.
Oh my god! If you're you can't use a bidet if you're too afraid to wipe, because I mean there's really no other option available.
So I found out recently that I guess Thailand, instead of bidets, has these like pressurized water guns,
shells
that you can just blast your ass with.
Super soakers?
Yeah, pressurized like water guns that you can like spray yourself down with.
Hell yeah.
I'm trying to picture the mechanics of that, and I kind of want to stop picturing the mechanics of that.
I guess the only safe way to go about it is if you got your girlfriend to wipe your ass for you, then if you were aroused somehow, it's not gay anymore.
Oh my god.
That's the safe route.
In school and I just left it in all day.
All day.
So all you ladies out there have a lot to look forward to with these insecure men. Get ready to wipe some assholes. Anyway, that's all we got for trivia. Let's talk Cooter of the Week.
Let's do it.
Straight chillin'. Cooter of the Week.
Juice, what is a cooter and why do we hunt them?
Ho, Cooter's character type and a straight chillin' exclusive. Cooter must hit 3 of these 5 points to be considered a cooter, but we want the cooter with the most points. 5 points of cooterdom are sexual deviance, manipulation, smug arrogance, overall looking attire, and overall patheticness. Boys, that's how you lock down a segment. Who is our cooter of the week?
Oh boy.
We are very impressed.
Oh yeah.
Damn.
All right.
Dracula.
All right. Manipulation.
He's a stalwart.
Yeah.
Manipulator, of course.
Check,
his whole thing
yeah.
is gaslighting the shit out of his familiar, Renfield.
Yeah. Okay.
Smug arrogance.
Smug arrogance. Yeah. World domination. That was a nice solid plot point, world domination.
Looking attire. He's a dapper man. I don't know.
Yeah, but is he a little outdated though?
Well, yes, he's thousands of years old, so yes, by definition. I think he looks a little bit Hugh Hefner-y, so it dated in that respect too. Like
yeah.
Crushed Velvet is great, but it's also like that isn't a thing that people wear very frequently. I don't know. I think
They
he
didn't
looks
really play
pretty
into
great.
the sexual aspect of Dracula in this film.
They didn't, and
No.
I'm okay with that. I think
Yeah.
after Twilight, everybody just wants to like not think about that for a little bit. Can we not romance the goddamn Dracula in this one? Patheticness, a little. I think he's pretty much. It's pathetic in the way that all fucking vampire rules are pathetic. You can't enter a home without being welcome.
Well, not just that. I mean, at the beginning of the film, he's in a bit of a pathetic state. Like he's definitely in a weakened state where he's like completely, he can't even go like hunt on his own. He's all fucked up. He would have got taken out if it weren't for Renfield. Like he would have got, he was trapped in that little circle deal.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the film and gets fucked up pretty good. So I'm a little pathetic.
Yeah, I just don't see it as being particularly like. I mean, lots of people.
Those are just
get
the
sick
rules,
and shit.
yeah.
Like things kind of happen. Everybody has a day where they're not feeling great or whatever. So,
well, we
could
go to John Ralphio.
I think we should. I think that's a pretty good one.
I think he's a solid pathetic. Okay, yeah, manipulation.
I was gonna start manipulation because he is so willing to give up his boys for his own skin. It is one of the funniest things in the film to me is him just being like instantly turning on all his motherfucking friends. Like it's just very good.
That's patheticness as well, but also just
it is
a mama's boy.
Yeah, totally pathetic, but also smug as shit. He's got a real Roman Roy thing going on with his arrogance in this movie.
Yeah, throwing around his mama's weight.
Yeah. Sexual deviancy. Doesn't he just say something pretty fucked up to Awkwafina at one point? I feel like he does, but it's been long enough where I don't remember.
Yeah, he's talking about her dad and stuff, but I don't remember it being sexual.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking.
Now, what about when they kidnapped the sister? Was there any implication? I know they were saying like they were beating her and stuff because she almost dies or something, but okay.
I think they kept it pretty squeaky clean, surprisingly. Like,
yeah, not a lot of sexual
romance, but, like, no
stuff
sexuality
in
at all.
Yeah. So, all right, but I mean, he hits enough already. Smug arrogance, manipulation, patheticness. Looking attire.
Yeah.
The neck tattoo.
The neck tat. I don't know, and I'm also like drawing a connection to John Ralphio. Maybe that's not fair, but I still am. So.
Good old John Ralphio.
I think it's a low.
Maybe 4. I mean, that's good enough.
He hits
if I saw a guy dressed like that in the subway who looked like that, I'd be like, okay,
I think that's this is a good one of not the main villain being the cooter, but somebody else being really pathetic and wormy and shit. Yeah.
Renfield, if you will.
Wormy butt.
That's interesting. He's kind of the Renfield part in the Renfield movie.
Yeah,
yeah.
Well, I think
tries to be the new Renfield, I guess, is why he's trying to be.
Yeah, that was kind of a good kind of flip on itself, where like who the people that gravitate towards this Renfield position. Maybe I felt
old girlfriend versus new girlfriend. Like
yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah, I like that.
Pretty good.
I think we can. I
forgot about the kill where he gets punched or kicked in the gut, and his like guts get spewed out his asshole.
Hell yeah!
It's good.
You're gonna laugh your guts out through your asshole.
That was pretty funny. Yeah, I forgot about that when I watched it in the theater for $12.
Prepare to laugh your guts out through your asshole.
There you go.
Just wanted to cover that basis,
Yep.
Yeah,
12 Korean dollars.
Yep.
Our lawyers are gonna have to do what Tucker Carlson's lawyers did. Tell people that we can't be taken seriously. No serious person would ever take us seriously.
You're taking us seriously. You're doing it wrong.
It's your fault if you take us seriously.
That's in our case, that's true.
Yeah, that's fair.
Hey,
in our case, that's a legitimate argument.
We're almost certified Rotten Tomato critics, okay?
Grow up, bro. Grow up.
That's to be taken seriously.
We demand
Rotten Tomato critics.
Put that on my gravestone. Rotten Tomatoes certified critic.
Well, not yet, Randy. As long as you
tomato.
As long
Average
as
score 43%.
It's a splatter. It's the little splatter emblem.
Damn.
Juice is gonna have a
Easy.
splatter emblem on his gravestone too, but for entirely different reasons.
Different reasons.
It's a stain.
Yeah.
It's a target for more stains.
You know that I'm the cream of the crop.
You know, bitch.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So it sounds like we got a scooter. John Ralphio, your boy. Ted Lobo. Teddy. We
Him
got
and
him.
Drac. Put him away, I think. Drac as well.
Drac.
He's like
that's fine.
Drac.
We'll
Drac
take 'em
always
all.
goes to Cooter jail. Put him in
We'll take them all.
for tradition. That's why we
going
jail people.
We're going a little for tradition. Yeah, we're going a little long, boys. Let's skip over what we've been watching this week and head straight to our hotline screams.
Hotline scream.
If you are listening and would like to call in and leave a voicemail to be featured on next week's show, hit us up at 904-638-3231. We do have one voicemail this week. We're going to hear from your boy, Chris. Let's hear what he's got to say.
Hey, Straight Chillin' crew, this is Chris in Louisiana, a.k.a. Supreme Leader Vladimir Putin. I just got done listening to the Trolls 2 episode. Nick Cage movie, my favorite Nick Cage movie, I think, or I think it's the perfect blend of his shenanigans is Raising Arizona. I think a lot of movies about like with him in it, but that one I could throw on any time, and I just really enjoy seeing him in there. But anyways, I also I missed out because I was really busy, so I didn't get a chance to listen to the previous episode with the 420 prompts. I had two really quick stories, wheat stories. Hope it's not too late. One involves my girlfriend. I've known her since middle school. And she was a good girl. She didn't get involved with me and my, friends' shenanigans, but we would usually have her tag along, and then, I would force her into, doing bad stuff like drinking or smoking weed or whatever. So the first time we're smoking weed, it's like fall or winter, and we're out in a park, and she pops a squat in the bushes, and like it cools her thighs down a lot, I guess. And then so when she puts her jeans back on, she thinks that she pissed her pants when she was, popping a squat in the bushes. So all night long, she's like, I pissed my pants, you guys. I pissed my pants. And I'm like, putting my hand on her pants, and I'm like, that they're dry, they're just cold. And she's like, you guys are fucking lying to me. You're lying to me. Like Fred, I was like, all right, we're never getting her high again. And then the other one was in my 20s for my birthday. I got a piece of keef cake. It was accumulated over, a grinder over a really long period of time, baked in a cake. They told me to be careful with it and just take a bite. And I was like, I've been smoking weed since 6th grade. I know what I'm doing. Don't tell me what to do. Ate the whole thing. Had an existential freak out playing Hitman, and hid under my blanket for about 6 to 8 hours until it started going away. So, all right. Well, thanks for listening. Thanks for doing the show, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.
Whoa, buddy.
I think it's pretty brave of Chris to come on here and tell everyone that he ruined a young girl's life. That's really brave of you.
That's manipulation.
Or some risky statements going on in this voicemail. It's always teetering on the edge.
Although I will say, Raising Arizona is a nice, solid, safe Nick Cage choice. You've
I've
never seen it, Juice?
No, never have.
I've seen it once. I enjoy it quite a bit, but like it's a Coen Brothers movie, and those movies just have there's rewatchability is like central to those movies. It's crazy how rewatchable almost all of their films are. And though I haven't done it myself, it definitely could be a rewatcher. I know people love the shit out of that movie too. I don't know if I have a favorite Nick Cage though. Like I would be like a 9-way split. It's like Face Off, Mandy,
Pig
is
is
goddamn
good.
Pig is incredible.
On Air, The Rock.
Dude, it's
Vampire's
just,
Kiss.
Vampire's
Yeah,
Kiss. There's
Vampire's
still
Kiss.
a lot I haven't seen.
I know. I'm gonna look like. Well, yeah. There's a lot that probably aren't worth seeing, is my understanding. I really want to see Massive Talent, though.
Leaving Las Vegas. I've never seen that.
Matchstick Man is great.
Never seen
Ghost
Matchstick.
Rider.
Is good. The Weatherman is good.
Moonstruck. I've never seen Moonstruck.
People love National Treasure. I'm not a big fan, but people do.
Yeah,
Some movie
it's
called
fun.
Valley Girl. Never seen that.
Yeah, he's a
He's got
prolific
a lot of
working
movies.
actor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I watched a very
Wild at
short.
Heart? Okay.
I watched a short interview clip with Nick Cage. He was talking to Conan, I think, and Conan asked him what his 5 favorite Nick Cage movies were. And number 1, he said favorite movie he's ever made was Pig.
Okay.
Great.
I was
that's
really surprised about that.
It's a great movie.
And
it's a
he was
genuinely
also
great movie.
he also listed a movie that was directed by your boy David Gordon Green called Joe. I've never seen. I don't know anything about.
Me neither.
Me neither. I've never heard of that.
Also, he was in a Scorsese movie that I've been meaning to watch for a long time called Bringing Out the Dead. That was another one that he listed.
He's in Left Behind.
Left Behind.
Oof.
Yeah, he's done
Kick-Ass.
a lot of work. Kick-Ass is a fun movie. He's like a bit role, but
Yeah.
This is a small role for him.
I forgot about
like
Bad
that.
those.
Lieutenant.
Oh yeah, Bad Lieutenant was another one he listed.
That's another NOLA.
which is insanity.
I've never seen
That's a
that one
good one.
either. Damn, there's a lot of Cage I haven't seen. Bad Lieutenant. I keep looking at some list. Yeah, Bringing Out the Dead, Leaving
Yeah.
Las Vegas, The Rock, of course.
And Mandy was the 5th one he listed. Those were the 5.
Okay, I would
Yeah.
imagine Mandy would have been fun to.
Yeah. What a
Hey.
great movie that is. That's so
I've
good.
heard that he's getting his own. I feel like I've heard anyway. Maybe I dreamed it, but I think he's getting his own spinoff from the Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse series for
That would
film
make
noir
sense.
Spider-Man.
That makes sense.
That could be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Um,
that could be fun.
damn.
Yeah.
Guys got
Yeah.
it's a little bit of a mixed bag, but the good shit is so fucking good. This man
I
goes
guess
big
I need
and,
to. Yeah,
and it pays off. It pays off huge.
I need to watch Moonstruck. It's on all of these lists pretty much.
I've also heard Adaptation is a great Nick Cage movie.
Oh
I
my
just-
god, adaptation is crazy.
I just saw it listed as well, number 4 on this list.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's in
Raising
a movie
Arizona.
about a superhero gerbils called G-Force. So I mean,
Oh my gosh.
None of these lists have Joe listed though. Like none of them.
Yeah,
Even-
I've never heard.
I
of
see
it
the one. I
until
see
he-
it here.
Until he mentioned
Really?
it.
Okay.
yeah. Anyway, but
Interesting. Yeah. I'll have to check that out. David Gordon Green, he at least makes it like he knows how to direct a movie, even if they're not all great.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
to be
we're gonna have a good
fair,
time
I mean, I know I tore up some David Gordon Green, but I mean, he's not like the worst director ever. But
Oh yeah.
whoa, a real reversal of
Oh yeah.
part.
I'm not saying
We're
like
gonna
he's
have-
he's gonna instantly ruin a movie, but
I'm not saying he's Joseph Goebbels or anything, but
I'm not saying he ain't either. Okay?
damn. Damn.
Anyway, thanks for calling in, Chris.
Jesus Christ.
Don't
Yeah.
any more Keef cake. I've never heard of that before. But that sounds like a fucking nightmare. That sounds
I heard
terrible.
queef cake. Did anybody else hear queef cake?
Keef. I think you said Keef. Keef cake.
I think so. No, I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying that's what I thought I heard, and it can't be what it is. It
I'm
just can't
tripping
be.
on queef cake, my guy.
Sexual
Existential
deviance, boys.
crisis.
Yeah.
Yeah. Manipulation.
Chris might be hitting some.
I
Chris might
talked
be
this
hitting
girl
Cooter
into
status.
eating this quick cake, and then she pissed her pants.
Chris, quick, what are you wearing? Because that might seal the deal.
And then I touched her thigh all night
just a
to
base-
check and see if she peed in her pants.
yeah, God.
I'm just wearing a basic C string tonight. What? Nothing crazy about that.
Basic C string.
The old basic
Standard
string. C string and just an oversized red shirt like Winnie the Pooh.
Dude, is it a crotchless C string?
You're describing a butt plug at this point.
I think they call that a Y string. It's just a Y.
Why?
It covers just your butthole. That's all.
It's doing as much work as the fucking nipple ring was for Janet Jackson at that fucking halftime show. It's not hiding a lot.
I didn't get my
Wardrobe
butthole bleached this
malfunction.
week. Gotta wear my crotchless
My
C
Y
string.
string.
Gotta
I
cover my
wanna
shame.
embarrass myself.
I don't want to embarrass.
Buy
get some
yours.
work.
Buy your straight chilling crotchless C string now.
I'm too ashamed to wipe my own asshole, so I better throw on my Y string.
It's got the skull logo right on the butthole.
Oh
That's
my
all you
god.
We got a pre-order
Oh.
up on the website here if you want to buy one of these crotchless
Right on the
Holy
ball.
C
shit.
strings. Straight
Oh
chilling.
man.
We'll be mailing those out on the 4th of July. So go ahead and get your pre-order in right now.
If
Wear that
only,
to the
man.
beach. Wear that to the family cookout. They'll fucking
To
love
the
it.
beach. You're going to jail, my guy.
The beach is closed for different reasons this 4th of July.
Ooh.
I thought it was Casual Friday, guys. What can I say?
This is how I celebrate my independence on the 4th of July. Let it breathe. Let it breathe. Whew, that's really letting it breathe. Anyway, thanks for calling, Chris. Hope you're doing well and you figured out that existential crisis you are going through. Again, if you guys are listening, want to call and leave a voicemail for several weeks from now, hit us up at 904
Next month.
3231. Yeah, we get a lot of episodes pre-recorded in the can that you're going to be hearing the next few weeks because we're going to be globe-trotting a little bit. So if you do call and leave a voicemail, we'll play them eventually. It just won't be for a few weeks for sure.
Yeah, we got 3 weeks of pre-recorded content. So if you're like, what's going on here? That's
what's going on here.
Yeah.
Something
That's
horrific is going to happen, and we're going to be like, hey, let's talk butthole jokes while we talk about Hitchcock.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Oh, no.
That'll be our
Oh,
legacy.
yeah. We're going to be the last broadcast left, and people are going to form religions off those 3 terrible episodes of our show.
These guys are still talking about movies. Do they not know the world is ending?
What happened?
Do they not know?
Still releasing content.
You know,
Buttholes are funny, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. Leave voicemail. We'll play them eventually. Next week, we're going to be talking about a classic Hitchcockian film, The Birds.
Whoa.
It's just a Hitchcock film, really, not Hitchcockian. It
Yeah.
just is a Hitchcock
Just said it. Yeah.
That's a very Bobbian phrase, Bob. I don't know how you got to that.
It's The Birds. We're reviewing The Birds. So
Yep.
check that out. If you haven't seen it, get ready for next week's show. Hit us up on all the social media. Just search Straight Chilling Podcast. You will find us. If you do want to join in the daily sectional conversations, hit us up on one of those social media outlets, and I'll send you a link so you can do so. Something I forgot to mention at the top of the show, actually. We're doing a Joe Bob watch party this Friday. Joe Bob Season 5 rolling out April 21st, Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. We're having a watch party.
Whoa,
I'll post links to all the socials for that. If you want to join, just click that link. You'll be able to watch some Joe Bob and chat along with everybody else in the crew watching Joe Bob. It's a fucking good time. I love doing it. It's been a while. Season 5 rolling out this Friday.
Me and Randy will be tuning in.
Dude,
We'll be-
it gets
it gets
longer
so
and
long.
longer.
Just wait for the beats. Me and Randy will be tuning in from Korea.
It's true. Well, it's not true that we'll be tuning in. That
Yeah,
won't
so you
happen, but-
probably won't be, and that's fine. That's totally fine. I'll be holding it down. When I am also in Korea, I definitely do not intend to host Joe Bob, so we're going to miss a couple weeks.
What?
For sure.
What?
Bob, you made a promise to these people.
Come on, you got to do it. You got to wake up at what time? What time is Joe Bob start? 9? You got to wake up
9.
at
Yeah.
10. That's just 10 a.m.
I'll be up. I'll be up. So yeah,
Yep.
that's gonna Straight Chilling signing off for a few weeks. So
Yeah,
all you
for a
motherfuckers,
month. Woo! We're free. We're free.
take care of yourselves.
Holy
out there.
shit.
We're free.
We love you. We miss you.
Ah.
Until next time, you motherfuckers keep chilling.
Pick it up, 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 pick it up.